As Lex said, my name is Aaron Regunberg. I am the state representative for this neighborhood, and I'm also a Jew, a proud Jew. I'm proud of my Jewish identity and heritage for a lot of reasons, but I think what makes me the most proud is our community's long history of engaging in the fight for justice and equality. It is not a spotless history, but it's real and it's there. And, you know, it's a tradition that we have a responsibility to maintain and to build upon. As members of a faith community that has been persecuted for millennia and that survived one of the most devastating acts in human history, we all, as Jews, are particularly well acquainted with what can happen when people do not speak out against oppression. Woo! Woo! And like it or not, that acquaintance that we have means something. It bestows on us a special obligation to step up and resist hatred and persecution and violence, both physical violence of intensifying hate crimes and systemic violence of budget cuts or mass deportations or faith-based registries. We, of all people, need to speak out against these acts of violence. And in a world where personnel is policy, we also need to speak out against appointments of violence. I would argue that the appointment of Steve Bannon to senior White House advisor is an act of violence by the incoming Trump administration. Steve Bannon has provided a platform, and in doing so has knowingly supported and empowered the segments of our society that most closely resemble Hitler's brown shirts. Yep. Now that's an inflammatory comparison, but I use it thoughtfully. It's not the alt-right, it's neo-Nazism, and we need to call it that. Yep. Yep. And we need to understand that these developments have consequences. Prior to November 8th, I have been fortunate enough to never have personally experienced explicitly anti-Semitic targeting. Since the election, I've been on the receiving end of multiple online attacks, and I know I haven't seen anything compared to some of my Jewish peers, and I know that in general, we Jews haven't seen anything compared to the outright attacks being experienced by Muslims and immigrants and people of color across our entire country. I get emotional about this. Appointments like Steve Bannon's are not okay. They are not normal. But I can guarantee you that they will become normal if they are treated as such. They will become okay if they are not named and called out and protested at every turn. And so the question is, who will step up to do that naming and that calling out and that protesting? I pose that a people with a history like ours has no right to not be on the very forefront of this work. That is our responsibility, that is our obligation, that is the standard we have been set. And our Jewish community, our whole Jewish community, not just the young people who continue to lead by example, and not just a few brave organizations like the Anti-Defamation League, but our entire Jewish community, our Jewish institutions, our elders, our leaders need to join the call to fire Bannon and to fight back against every instance of hatred and corruption that we see in the coming years. That is what it means to be called upon by Adonai to be a light unto the nations, and it is time for every one of us and every one of our Jewish institutions to step up and answer that most sacred and holy of calls. Thank you so much for braving the weather, and we're going to make this together.